Get ready because India's entire tax system is on the brink of a massive shakeup, and it could mean you'll have more money in your wallet. By 2025, the GST you pay on, well, pretty much everything is set to change. So let's dive in and break down exactly what this overhaul means for you.
Right now, if you ever glance at your receipts, you're navigating a system that juggles 4 different main tax rates. Yep, 4. That's the number we're all dealing with today. 4 different slabs for the goods and services tax, or GST, that decides the final price on almost anything you can buy.
But that's all about to change, and in a big way. The government's plan is to basically slash that number in half, moving to just 2 main tax rates. Simplicity is the name of the game, and this jump from 4 to 2 is really the heart of this whole reform.
So, how are we going to tackle all this? Well, we'll start by untangling what I'm calling the current GST maze. Then we'll unpack the 2025 simplification plan. We're going to ask the big question, will things actually get cheaper? Then we'll look at the wider economic ripple effect, and finally, map out the road's October 2025. Let's start with that maze.
First up, India's current GST maze. And calling it a maze is pretty spot on. Whether you're a consumer just trying to figure out prices or a business owner trying to file your taxes, the system we have right now can be incredibly complicated.
This complexity really boils down to these 4 different tax rates. There's a 5%, a 12%, an 18%, and then a really hefty 28% slab. Because different goods and services are crammed into each of these buckets, it just creates a lot of confusion for us as consumers and a huge administrative headache for businesses.
So how do you solve a puzzle like that? Well, that brings us right to our second section, the 2025 simplification plan. The solution being put on the table is a really dramatic shift from those 4 tax slabs down to just 2. The whole reform is built on a really simple idea. Create 2 main categories for taxes. The first is a 5% rate, and that's for the essentials, the things we all need day to day. The second is an 18% rate that's going to cover most other general goods. The goal here is just crystal clear simplicity.
I mean, just look at the difference side by side. It is stark. We're going from that jumbled 4-tiered structure to a much cleaner 2-tier system. Now, it is worth pointing out that there will probably still be a special higher rate for luxury items and what are called sin goods, things tobacco or sugary drinks. But for almost everything else, the structure gets way simpler.
Okay, this brings us to the question I know everyone is asking. Section 3, are things actually going to get cheaper? Let's take a look at what this reform could really mean for the price tags you see in the store.
And for some of those big-ticket items, the change could be huge. Things like small cars, TVs, and air conditioners could see their GST rate drop from a massive 28% all the way down to 18%. That is a serious potential price cut. And then on the other end, daily essentials and even health insurance would get standardized at that nice, low 5% rate.
So what's really happening here is that the 12% and the 28% slabs are basically on the chopping block. Getting rid of these higher tax brackets is the key move here. It's what's designed to lower the tax burden and make a whole range of products more affordable for all of us.
Now let's zoom out a bit. On to Section 4, the economic ripple effect. Because this is about more than just cheaper TVs, this reform is really designed to send waves across the entire economy. First, for us, the consumers, it's a really simple but powerful idea. When things become more affordable, you have more money left over at the end of the month, and that extra money can then be spent on other things, which helps stimulate demand across the entire market.
Next up, let's think about the businesses. For them, a simpler tax system is a total game changer. It means way less time and money spent on complicated accounting and mountains of paperwork. That's what they call compliance costs. This frees up cash and time that companies can pour back into growing their business.
And all of this brings us to the really big picture. So, when you have consumers spending more and businesses investing more, what happens? Well, you get a recipe for economic growth. The government is basically betting that this surge in demand will ultimately lead to more jobs and a stronger national economy.
So finally, let's look to the future. Section 5, the road to October 2025. This isn't all happening tomorrow, so what's the timeline we should actually be watching?
It's a pretty straightforward path, actually. Right now, all of these proposals are being discussed and hammered out inside the GST Council. But the target date for rolling all of this out, for the new system to actually go live, is October 2025. So that's the key date to keep in mind.
So as we wrap this up, we're left with a really fascinating question.
The plan itself is clear. Simplify the taxes to make stuff cheaper, which should encourage people to spend more. But will that surge in consumer spending be powerful enough to truly reshape and accelerate India's whole economy? Well, that's the billion-dollar question everyone's going to be watching.